ArenaNet just dropped a crazy teaser image. You can see it here in the background, and I'm so hyped about this just single image. I'm very nerdy and excited about that. I'm very surprised by this, and I just have to make a video about this. Grab a cup of tea and let's overanalyze this. As always, special shout out to all my supporters on YouTube, Twitch and Patreon that help me keep the lights on. And now, without much further ado, let's jump straight in. So this is just a single image that they dropped on their Blue Sky account, and they didn't put any other information there. It's just this image, and they put there 15 days. So that means in 15 days we get more information apparently on that. What exactly we don't know, probably the expansion announcement. That's the thing here, and that's probably just one feature of the expansion that we can see here on this image. What is it? I will not analyze the background here because I'm not a lore nerd in Guild Wars 2. I can't draw any big conclusions out of the background. It looks a little bit tropical island, something maybe Ring of Fire, maybe something like looks a little bit of Draconis Mons. We also can see in the left bottom corner, we can see a person standing there and even a small person a little bit further to the right. I don't really know what exactly it is. I can't really speculate about it. I'm more about the centerpiece of this image. We can see this loot. And it's not only that, because it's also the background, this hexagon in the background. We can also draw conclusions from that. So what do I mean by that? I think this loot is probably something that is related to something called a bard. I think that makes a lot of sense. What can you draw out of that? There are multiple ways that you could interpret this. I would say the first thing that comes to mind would be a new class. Something like the bard. Getting the bard as a new class in Guild Wars 2 could be a very easy interpretation of that, I would say. Do I think that's the case? I actually doubt it. I think a new class for Guild Wars 2, just a single one, is unrealistic. It's so much work and I don't see it happening, even if it's something like that, where it's quite simple to interpret in here. I think it's more like an Elite Spec or a new trade line. I think a new trade line, it's too much. It's too crazy with the loot symbol. It could be a new weapon. That could be true. I think that's interesting. I'm not sure if that will be the case. But if it's a trade line, I think it's very surprising if it would be a core trade line. I think it's more likely that it will be an Elite Spec. And I think because of the pinkish background, reddish background maybe, I think it could be something like a Mesmer Elite Spec. I'm pretty sure that could be something that people always speculated. Some kind of bard Mesmer Elite Spec. I think that could be the case here. But as always, let me know your takes down in the comments below. And if you want to see more content like this and keep up with all the good news that are coming out in the next few weeks, be sure to subscribe and like this video. That would help the channel out quite a lot. But now, let's talk about what I think here. I think it could be easily an Elite Spec. Yeah, getting a new Elite Spec is something that might change the balance drastically, but will keep people interested in a new expansion. Way more than we got with Soto or Chanter Wilds, where it just would be weapons. Do I think it would be a new weapon and an Elite Spec? I hope, but I think it's not realistic. It could be, of course, a Bard Elite Spec with a new weapon, the loot. I think that could be the case. To be honest, I think that's way too much. I'm not sure if that's actually happening. Maybe every class gets the loot as a weapon and that's just one Elite Spec with it. I think that could be the case, but in general, I actually think it's just an Elite Spec. It could be for Mesmer. It could also be for another class. I think Mesmer is the most suited here, but it could also be in core trade line. What speaks for that? That it's like very clear that this is a hexagon. It could be a trade line that you choose, just like Inspiration or Illusions on Mesmer, where you also have this hexagon here. But this classic black border around this white grayish art here is very similar to all Elite Specs and class icons. So in my opinion, it's way more likely that we get an Elite Spec here. And it doesn't matter if it's with a weapon or without a weapon. I'm really excited for that one. I'm not sure what it will fill which role and how it will be, so to say, interacting with all the other traits. I think it will be really interesting. I can see something that is supportish, but more like an offensive supporter by buffing allies with crazy, unique songs or something like that, that they just get more attack speed or something like that. In addition to quickness, something like that. I'm not sure if they want to introduce something like unique buffs, because that was something that they just removed in the last few years. But I feel like that's perfect for a bard to give you some unique buffs. But I think that could be one way to go, but it could also be like a crazy ArenaNet way, you know, you never know. For example, Mesmer uses Greatsword as a ranged weapon. So I think why not use the loot as some kind of very aggressive, not supporting at all weapon? Could be, you know, making some crazy siren-like song. Could be. We don't know. I just ramble about here and predict stuff that I think could be on my radar. But let me know in the comments down below. Maybe you have some crazy ideas as well. And you never know. In 15 days, we will see if it's actually coming true. That will be really exciting. Will be a crazy big hype when they probably release the more information on the expansion that will drop in October 28 probably. So I will be really excited for that one. And now let's to my absolutely crazy, let's say, prediction here, or not really expectation, but more like a crazy observation here. I already mentioned it. This hexagon has like 2 color schemes. It has purple and it has on the top reddish. And the same goes for the corner of the screen. So of the image, you have in the top right-hand corner some reddish stuff, and in the bottom left-hand corner some pinkish stuff. This on its own doesn't say too much, but I will just name drop it here. Dual class. This is like, you know, it could be some kind of Mesmer Elementalist mix Elite Spec. That could be insane if they would do something like that, but that would be probably the best-selling expansion ever if they would drop something like that, because people will buy it for insane. It would, even if it breaks the balance like crazy, people will buy it. So, to be honest, if they could make that work in Guild Wars 2, something like that could actually like save, so to say, big amount of finance problems that they might currently have. It's really just name dropping here. I think it's hard to do it in game, but if they wanted to do, I think an expansion is probably the biggest way to do something like that, of course, the most likely way. But like I said, I think it's unrealistic. It's just something that I observed with this imaging coloring here. But you never know. You really never know. ANET is full of surprises, I would say, in the bad and in the good ways. So I will just drop it here and maybe it actually comes true, you know. A guy can dream, I guess. Like I already mentioned, this is all that I predict here. I don't go into the background here. It could be anything, where we're going. It could be just a random image that is nice and suited for this. I don't know. I don't know too much about Guild Wars 2 lore that I can make crazy predictions, or Guild Wars lore in general. But let me know your takes on the background as well in the comments. I'm very surprised by this, and I'm so hyped about this just single image. As always, thanks a lot for watching. I hope you enjoyed this quick prediction and news update. If you did, be sure to leave a like and subscribe for more content like this. Way more to come in the future. Thanks again to all my supporters, and I hope to see you all in the next video.